start in just a moment. Yes, so we had started to talk about uh, the kind of ordinary practice that's done in the West, and that you
Mm.
started with the group that was, let us say, somewhat maybe loosely associated with mindfulness-based stress reduction,
Yes.
with the things that they were teaching there, plus some other stuff that many of the students had probably picked up. And so there is a second level of information.
Mm.
And that's probably where you picked up the idea of the longer you sit, the higher you are, or whatever.
Yes, yes. When we would meet up, we would do maybe a 10-minute introduction, and then the rest of the hour or so session would be a very long body scan or a sitting meditation or something like that.
Mhm.
Some of the body scans were very nice. I do remember dozing off a little bit in some of them occasionally, but yeah,
Mhm.
they were on the longer side.
Okay. That's very interesting because that goes against what Goenka would say, that especially the body scanning you want to do
Mm.
while you're sitting up, not
Yeah.
not laying down, because
Mm.
it is prone to have one go to sleep.
Too relaxing.
Hmm.
Mm.
All right. So um, there there is a whole new way for you to begin to look at things,
Mm-hmm.
and a way that we can say is that mindfulness-based stress reduction, for a particular set of reasons, decided to take the Buddha
Mm-hmm.
out of the practice. Now, while there are some good reasons, and in fact, I support some teachers in doing that off on their own because of
Mm-hmm.
the audience that they have,
Mm.
we can be, um, let us say, too picky or give too much introductory stuff and leave all the really, really best stuff that is definitely Buddha and nothing but Buddha behind.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
The very, very best stuff of it.
Yeah.
Now, in that regard, guess what? Often that very best stuff is right there at the very beginning,
Mm.
that it has not to be waited upon, that in fact we want to incorporate the very, very best of the teachings of the Buddha right from the very beginning so that we can in fact get a practice that's really good in the beginning, good in the middle, and good in the end. But in order to westernize it, a few things were left out, and also there was a fairly strong connection between the Mahasi group that made it to the West and John Kabat-Zinn, especially because he was in Massachusetts, was very center, and there's all of those connections back and forth as well.
Mm.
So uh, basically, there the whole set of teachings then through the both the Goenka and the Mahasi method connections, that as well as the medical connection that John
Mm-hmm.
Kabat-Zinn has. He's a doctor. He's a
Mm.
whatever, and so. Um, there the connections are all missing something in there,
Mm-hmm.
and that what is missing actually is not missing in much of Asian Buddhism, but is definitely missing in Western Buddhism.
Right.
And that I think that a lot of that has to do with, for instance, with Goenka. He had only gotten started with Vipassana when he was kicked out of Burma because of the army back in the 1950s, and he really was not there with U Ba Khin very long anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's one thing. And then the other part of it would be that Jack and Joseph and other groups didn't stay in Burma long enough to really get some of the most important qualities, that they got kind of on the surface level, and then they bring it back. And so Western Buddhism has actually very, very thin legs or very thin roots.
Right. Right.
And so we need to give some additional stuff
Mm-hmm.
in there that's definitely part of the actual practice of the Buddha.
Right.
And so, revisiting the original teaching, starting from the top down,
Mm-hmm.
you've probably heard of Dukkha Nirodha. That's the entire teachings of the Buddha, packaged right up,
Yes.
right there.
Mm-hmm.
Now, all of that Dukkha Nirodha happens in one mind moment. That's it. It
Mm.
does not happen over time to where it's dukkha. I can see some dukkha nirodha in the future, like a light at the end of the tunnel, but I got to struggle because it's an uphill tunnel and it's dark in here and I stumble and fall. No, that's the whole issue about the Western mind, that you've
Mm.
got to be worthy. This is the problems with Christianity. Instead of
Mm.
just being beloved and loving right now, they've got all of this sin and rules to follow and all of
Mm-hmm.
this kind of stuff in order to be a good enough Christian. Well, that whole mentality of the Western mind, which is very production oriented,
Mm.
is very much production oriented and also is based upon delayed gratification.
Yes. Delayed.
If you work hard enough, long enough, you will eventually get your reward. And that whole mentality of delayed gratification follows the students right into the meditation hall.
Mm. Right.
But the teachings of the Buddha are immediate
Mm.
when they're practiced correctly. And so you can see that the mentality of the West um, kind of overshadowed, so that some of the really most important teachings of the Buddha got overshadowed. It wasn't made a big enough point of for the Westerners to really get a load of it, and so they forgot all about it.
Mm.
And so that's part of the reason why Achan Po has asked me to teach the way that I do, is that we're going to start right from the very beginning at the most noble, high quality place that we can and work from there.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Okay.
Lovely.
And so gives rise then to making the Eightfold Noble Path and the Four Noble Trees noble right from the very beginning.
Mm.
Okay. And the way that we make the Four Noble Truths noble right from the very beginning is because we make them noble right this very moment.
Mm.
This is dukkha. This is the cause of dukkha.
Mm.
This is what it's like to be friends, to be finished with dukkha. And this is what I got to do. What I just did was that stuff that got me out of the dukkha.
Mm.
So there's a method to get out of that, to relax.
Mm. Yes.
Okay, and
Method.
this is the Eightfold Noble Path. And when the Eightfold Noble Path is practiced correctly, according to the teachings of the Buddha, it's done with Anapanasati, because it's that breathing that becomes so important.
Mm.
That's why it's called Anapanasati, is because we want to uh, develop sati as a skill. That's the number one point. That in fact, the Anapanasati Sutta has the word sati there.
Mm-hmm.
In the Sambhojana, the seven factors of enlightenment, sati is the number one item on the list. It's also on the Eightfold Noble Path, and that it was so important that at least that got through to John Kabat-Zinn. That's the first word of his system, except that mindfulness is not a very good translation of what actually the word sati means.
Mm.
Basically, what the word sati means is it means wake up. It means to wake up. It means to
Mm.
remember to wake up. It means to
Mm-hmm.
wake up and look at what's going on. And looks what's going on is actually one's right view, is to really take a look, but we have to remember to take a look.
Mm.
Now we've already got two items of the Eightfold Noble Path going. Hot diggity dog. All right. Once we see what is what, we can see what is wholesome and what is not. Because of our right noble view, we can see what is noble and what is not noble
Mm-hmm.
within one's own mind. And so now one's right effort kicks in that next mind moment, And that right effort then is to remove the unwholesome thoughts from the mind and replace them with wholesome thoughts immediately, right from the very beginning. That's why this practice is known to be good in the beginning, good in the middle, and good in the end. And yet, so many people struggle in the beginning, and a whole lot of different people struggle in the middle, and nobody ever gets to the end.
Nobody ever makes it.
Nobody ever makes it. And why? Because they still have that struggle in it.
Mm.
And so this is how we practice the Eightfold Noble Path from the very beginning, is that we've got right view, right sati, right effort, and as we develop those things, we get skills going. We can actually come to the point of knowing that we can do it. And I'll talk about doing it in a moment.
Mm.
And when we know that we can do it, now comes the Samasankappa, which is the right attitude of, I can do this. And when Samasankappa kicks in, and I know that I can do this, no matter what troubles my mind gets into, I can pop right back out of it into a happy state.
Oh, that sounds lovely.
And you know that you can do that at any moment.
Oh, that sounds very nice.
That's the entry of the stream, is you
Hmm.
know that even if you do get side banked, you can jump right back in.
Mm, yeah, 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 yeah.
You can come right back to the here now to get into the stream or the flow of what's really going on, the reality of the moment.
Mm,
Just this is it. This is all there is. The past is gone and the future is yet to be.
mm.
Who knows what the future is going to be? We don't know. All we can do is guess, and some people try to make money off of guessing.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do.
Why? Because they don't like what's happening right now. Because right now is mixed too much with the past. But when we forget the past and allow this moment to be just now, then we got the idea that the future can take care of itself. I mean, the now is taking care of the now, and later it'll take care of the now too.
Mm.
And I don't have any work to do because now already knows how to do now very well. It's been doing now for a long time. Why should I try to fix the now that's done so well already?
No reason to fix it.
Right. Therefore, we have nothing to do and no place to go. And the spring comes and the grass grows by itself.
Hmm.
So, this is a way of beginning to change our mind out of the unwholesome, that things are wrong, things are broken, things need to be fixed,
Yeah.
into getting in tune with the fact that everything is already okay.
Mm.
Everything is fine. All the children who are starving in Yemen right now are not going to be any better off if you feel bad by thinking about them.
Yeah, very true. Very true.
Okay? But if you get yourself together and get a great big generous heart going, you might send somebody some money who's going to put it in their pocket telling you that they're going to help the children in Yemen.
Yeah, yeah, that is
Maybe a
very
Red
true.
Cross or something.
Hmm.
So, um, what I'm talking about is beginning to change the mind from a fixing mentality, or what we call a critical mentality,
Hmm.
that sees distinctions and differences. This is good, this is bad, this is up, this is down, this is right, this is wrong, this is left, this is right. Everything is this and that, and everything is in conflict.
Mm.
And that's critical thinking. And we're taught in our Western society to critically think.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah,
what
yeah.
built our society. And so now we've got such a marvelously critically built society, and yet we have 7 billion people all unhappy. Why? They're critical of themselves.
Yeah. Everyone's
But,
too overly critical of themselves.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Mm.
And many times we don't like being overly critical of ourselves, and so we pretend to be otherwise.
Pretend. Yeah, yeah.
Hmm. Which is a form of denial. But with this, what we're looking at is that no, I can actually begin to change every thought that comes up. I can begin to take a look at it
Mm-hmm.
and decide which thought is going to be left in and which thoughts are going to be tossed out because they don't meet criteria.
Mm.
They're not wholesome.
Not
They
wholesome.
might they might lead to, in fact, if we keep veering off in that direction, it may lead into something really nasty, like anxiety.
Whoa. Yeah, that is
Okay.
relatable. That sounds very familiar. That whole state of mind.
All right. So I introduced to you a story or an analogy that the Buddha gave in
Mm-hmm.
Sutta number 19. Now, this is not taught in the mindfulness based stress reduction
Mm-hmm.
because for some people it actually does smack of religion to them. And he's
Right.
trying to get the religion out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And so this was kind of left out or not actually emphasized well enough.
Mm-hmm.
And that then is this whole concept of some thoughts are worth having and other thoughts are not worth having, and therefore we can immediately just throw them out. And so the analogy that the Buddha gives is the analogy of a cowherd that is taking his cows out to the pasture for feeding. And along the path, he has to keep them in line because the path is covered with food stalls or the side, or kids are playing or whatnot like that.
Mm-hmm.
This guy doesn't have a whole lot of cows. In fact, one guy could not manage a whole lot of cows. He's got three or four, just a small number, just enough to where he can get in between them and whatnot and whack them to keep them in line. Okay. Because he knows if he doesn't keep these cows in line, one of them's going to step on a child, and another one is going to eat something, food off of a food stall,
Mm-hmm.
that one of them's going to knock down a food stall, that they're not really watching where they're going and whatnot. And so he's going to have to keep them in line, and he uses a stick,
Mm.
and he'll whack them to keep them in line.
Yeah.
Okay, because he knows to allow these cows to get out of line, they'll go and do some damage. And if he just lets them all go, they'll be all over the village making all kinds of damage, and the whole village will be down upon him. And the next thing you know, he's lost his cows.
Mm-hmm.
So, in order to keep his cows, he's got to keep them in line while he's going down this trail.
Yeah.
This is the analogy of the Buddha is talking about. This is the first job that we need to do as a meditator,
Mm-hmm.
is to be able to monitor the thoughts that come in
Mm-hmm.
so that we can keep them in line, following down the path without going off into something unwholesome.
Mm. Yeah.
Okay? What would be unwholesome? Thoughts of the past, thoughts
Yeah.
of the future,
Mm-hmm.
thoughts of worry,
Mm.
thoughts of jobs that need to be done, thoughts of the future, thoughts of wanting things that we don't have.
This all sounds very familiar. I think I've
Uh
had a few
huh.
of those thoughts.
Uh huh. Well, actually, I'm going down a very, very classically known list of hindrances.
Mm.
This is well known and well documented. Okay, wanting things we don't have, doubt,
Mm-hmm.
worry, restless mind, monkey mind. All of these are the hindrances. Hindrances to what? Hindrances to being in a state of satisfaction. Hindrances into being in a really lovely state where everything is okay.
Mm.
Just kind of resting rightly in that third noble truth. Everything's all right. Everything's fine. But what's keeping me from being in that state is all my worries, all my troubles, all my doubts, all my
Mm.
wants, all my desires, and they're keeping me from being in a really wholesome state of mind.
Mm-hmm.
And so, what we have to do is then begin to guard the mind and to whack it
Mm.
and to whack the mind and say, nope, you can't go there. And that one of the ways that the Buddha talked about it was he had a phrase called, aha, I see you, Mara. And that's like the whack, that we whack the mind with that statement of, aha, I see you. You're not
Mm.
going to go off in that direction. You come back here and get back in line. And so we
Mhm.
begin to keep our thoughts in a wholesome state. So what kind of thoughts would be wholesome would be the kind of thoughts of what's happening right now.
Mhm.
You've got air coming in and out. You're breathing. That's what's happening right now.
Yeah.
Okay. And breathing is quite delightful. If you don't believe me, stop.
Yes, breathing is very delightful. I
Yeah.
love breathing.
Can't get enough of it.
Literally, can't get enough of it.
No, exactly so. And so we can begin to delight in that, that every breath keeps you alive.
Mm,
That's life itself. Now, how marvelous that is when we reflect upon that. That gets downright religious now, doesn't it?
mm,
The breath of life.
mm.
If we don't breathe, we don't live. And so this is why we practice Anapanasati. Anapana means nothing but in breath and out breath.
Mm,
And sati is that mindfulness of breathing, to
mm.
breathe in long and out long. Now, a lot of people have the idea that enough sati just to notice that the breath is there, but then the mind can wander away very easily.
Very
We
easily.
really want to latch on to the breath by learning to control it, to jump on it, to fall on it, to seize it.
Mm,
These are all words that are used in Mahasi when Mahasi actually talks about it
mm-hmm.
in old books, but this didn't make it into the Mahasi method in the sense of seizing the breath to make it long, because we want to have that mindfulness of long breathing, which that means the sati of I know that this is a long, deep in breath.
Yeah.
I know that this is a long, deep out breath. And
Mm,
then that knowing then can be used to see the thoughts also.
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I know that that's a wholesome thought. Just
I
like I
know that
know an
that's unwholesome.
I know that one. Exactly so. Exactly.
I mean, with the practice that I've been doing, I think especially over the past few weeks, I have made it like a mission. I've been more proactive in elongating the inhale and the exhale as well, which I'd say has been helping me to remain more mindful during my sits, definitely.
You have to, don't you?
Yeah, 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 you have to. You
Yeah.
have to.
You can't elongate the breath. That's exactly why we're making it long, is just to keep that sati going.
Yes.
Congratulations. You were naturally beginning to practice correctly.
Yes.
Right. Because they didn't teach you that, I don't think.
No, no, they didn't. They didn't. No, it was just to notice the feeling of the breath here. I'm very lucky. I have all of this
Yeah,
on my face, so I can
but
really feel the breath there.
But guess what? There is no place where that is in the suttas. The Buddha did not teach that. In the Anapanasati Sutta, he teaches about the entire body, to wake
Mm,
up the whole body. That's what the body scans are all about.
yeah.
Okay, so why then go back to the nose tip? Why don't you just stay with the body? Except
Mm,
that you don't have to do a formal scanning of it, but just to know that it's there.
mm,
And especially true when we begin to move the body when we're not sitting in a still posture, when we're moving around, when we're walking to the bathroom, when we're opening the doors, when we're sitting down and standing up, and all kinds of things is times for us to be mindful of what the body is doing.
yeah. That's something else I've recently started doing as well. I will catch myself if I'm making a smoothie or if I'm cooking something, and I will. It's only little, but I've had moments where I really take notice of, like my fingers grabbing something, the feeling of what I'm grabbing, or if I'm like using a frying pan, maybe the sounds that the frying pan's using, the feeling of my hand on the handle. Like, it's only little moments, but compared
They
to
will
me not
grow.
doing that
You
at
keep
all, exactly,
right.
yeah, yeah.
So keep practicing, and the sati will grow. So the sati is going to grow in two qualities.
Hmm.
One is going to grow in the quality of uh, frequency.
Hmm.
The more
Doing
often
it
you
more and
practice
more.
sati, you keep doing it more and more and more and more and more. You keep waking up every in breath. You keep waking up every out breath. Then pretty soon you start waking up more and more throughout the day.
Yeah.
So that's one quality of it. The second quality of it, which actually goes quite along with that when you think about it, and that is that how quickly can we wake up? Are we slow to wake up when we wake up, or do we
Mm.
wake up fast?
Hmm.
In other words, can we wake up in one mind moment and say, wait a minute, that's dukkha? We can wake up in one moment and take a look at that and say, yuck, I'm not going to go there. Or do we have to let it grind and grind and grind and grind before we wake up to, look at what I'm doing? I've let that cow go off into the, eat that man's whole table full of carrots.
I mean, it would be a very happy cow, but wouldn't be good for us.
Well, it was a happy cow, but it was also dangerous. That's part
Mm.
of the major teachings of the Buddha again. In fact, this is so Buddha that it stinks of Buddha. It slaps of Buddha.
Stinks of.
And that is the Buddha teaches that things are, we see the gratification in the beginning.
Hmm.
And because we see only the gratification, we do it and we do it and we try to get more and more gratification, but the gratification is up and down and sometimes diminishing.
Mm.
But what we don't do, especially when it's diminishing, is we don't begin to see the danger. Wait a minute, this is dangerous.
Hmm.
I'm looking for something I'm not getting anymore. Okay?
Mm.
And so once we wake up to the danger of it, then we can plot the escape. So the gratification is what gets us stuck. Being able to wake up and see the danger, that's sati. Or we can call it, that's mindfulness, is to wake up and see this is dukkha as dukkha. And
Mm.
once we see it immediately, we see it as dukkha. Now we can plot our way of escaping this. Well,
Mm.
with the mind, that's a pretty fast escape. Ah, I see you. And there you're. And so we can jump out of that cesspool immediately. Other cesspools, we have to kind of swim to the shore before we can get out of them, but we could plot our plan.
Yeah, you can still get out of there,
You
but
can
it just
still get out of it.
might take a little bit longer.
Hmm.
Hmm.
And that's where the Anapanasati really does kick in, is that whatever the body is doing, we can change the body chemistry by
Mm.
beginning to take in these long, deep breaths.
Mm. Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. I mean, that also links to parasympathetic nervous system and all of that sort of stuff, and like
Yes,
elongating
exactly.
the exhale naturally from like you said, a chemical standpoint is just calming. So,
Right. Well, one of the things that we can see, even anybody who's had even a little bit of high school chemistry knows about carbon dioxide, especially when it mixes with water, it becomes acidic,
mm,
right? Well, guess what? When we're burning and churning or putting out a lot of adrenaline and whatnot like that, when things break down, you put a lot of it comes right back down to carbon dioxide plus a few other things,
mm,
which means you now begin to get a lot of carbon dioxide in the blood, and that's then triggered by the reptilian brain as to how you're going to breathe automatically. For instance, if you've been chugging uphill, working really hard, then you automatically start breathing, huffing and puffing, because the body recognizes that you've had uh, way too much carbon dioxide. But
mm,
there's that level to where in between it gets into conservation. And so by taking long, deep breaths, we're actually purifying the blood.
mm,
We're ridding it of this carbon dioxide, which is actually a poison in the blood,
mm, mm, mm.
as well as a lot of little other stuff that will go out with the breathing. That was the partial breakdown of bigger amino acids and whatnot, that is adrenaline and cortisol and
Yeah.
all of that kind of heavy duty molecule that is designed to deliver a big punch of energy into the muscles. And
Yes.
so now you've got your whole blood system cruising with all of this adrenaline, ready to go to work and no place to go.
No
The
place
muscles
to
are
go.
not working. Yeah, no place to go. Better it break down and go out of the out through the air
Yeah.
rather than keeping yourself all pumped up with no place to go.
Yeah, yeah. Be gone.
Exactly so. So this then also becomes one's right effort
hmm
of breathing mindfully. This is
Mm.
also one's right effort is to mindfully breathe in long and mindfully breathe out long. And so that, and the next one is um, in Anapanasati is referred to as gladdening the mind, which is then back to reference these other sutras is wholesome thoughts. To perk up the mind, to gladden the mind, to really gladden the mind. To let's put in really top quality wholesome thoughts in the mind.
Mm.
This is then the way of gladdening the mind is to make the mind bright with thoughts of, hey, I can do this. Oh, wow, doesn't this feel great?
Mm.
Oh, wow, this is a really nice moment.
Mm.
I've got it. I got it now. Now I know what's going on. I can see this thing. Okay, so these are the kind of thoughts that engender um, feelings of satisfaction,
hmm
feelings of safety, feelings of contentment that we've got it now. And it also uh, brings on not just satisfaction, but also the feeling of success as a real feeling.
Mm.
The feeling of success then is that also that feeling of, uh, let us call it the lion or the lion's attitude, the attitude of success, as
hmm
opposed to the attitude of a victim. Because most of us are trained to be victims. We start off as little kids as victims, and we spend our whole lives as victims looking for a daddy or a mommy or a meditation or a guru or a government or a car or a house or a wife or a job or something to make me feel better because I can't do it myself.
That's very true. Yeah.
Okay. But now we're beginning to say, hey, you can. All you have to do is throw the crap out of your mind and put something really nice and delightful in there, and
Mm.
you'll perk right up.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't need to look for other people or material things or whatever to try and bring yourself satisfaction. It can all be done by yourself.
With your breathing through
Yes.
remembering to do this and
Something
to
so simple.
practice.
Yeah.
Uh, if actually it is spoken of in simple, but
Mm.
the habits will keep coming back. Those
Mm.
cows will still keep getting into the stuff, and exactly, you still have to. But eventually, the cows. The second part of the story
hmm
is that after he gets them out of the village and down he gets into the pasture where they've already cut the rice
hmm
so that now they have rice stubble and all kinds of stuff that they can chew on.
hmm
That means that now he doesn't have to guard them so much. And then the Buddha talks about this is that's the same thing is now that all the thoughts are wholesome and there is no danger anywhere. Now the cowherd doesn't have to stand right there with the cows with his whip or his
Mm.
stick. He can go sit down under the tree and keep an eye on them.
Mm.
And so now this is a lower level of relaxation. So we begin to relax even further down,
Oh.
and the body relaxes, and
Oh.
everything gets really easy because it's just one wholesome thought after another.
Mm.
And then at a later stage, then we can even start allowing gaps between the wholesome thoughts. And we'll talk about that later. Okay.
Yeah.
But we got to get those thoughts all into a line to being wholesome. So we
Yeah.
have to be on guard for them
Mm.
to get the mind into a wholesome state and then sustain it and maintain that is like the goat or like the cowherd right there with that whip, right there with that stick. You stay in line, you stay in line, you're good to go. And guess what? He likes that. And he's really happy because he's got his cows all in line and they're happily in line with him.
Mm.
Okay? That's the difference because a lot of people will have, oh, but I'm so delighted in that over there. No, that's dangerous. Don't go there.
Mm.
Yeah, I see those carrots over there, but don't go there.
Don't go there.
Don't go there, right? Don't go into the past. There, how delicious those past thoughts are. They're dangerous.
Yeah, very dangerous. Very.
Very.
Mm.
So thoughts about the future and what you're going to do is dangerous. Let's not go there and let's not spend much time in the future. Let's
Mm.
keep coming back to right here, right now. Let's watch those cows.
The cows.
Keep them in line.
Mm.
One thought after another, a wholesome thought.
Mm.
This is how we practice.
Mm.
Using the breath as an anchor to help us to remember to keep looking at those thoughts.
It's a good analogy. It's a very, very good analogy, yeah.
I didn't invent it, it's not mine. Buddha! He told you he likes what you're telling me.
uh, yeah, I. Yeah, there's definitely a lot of room for a lot more wholesome thoughts in my brain, I would say. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's how one would practice then. The practicing, that's one's right effort. If you're going to have any effort at all in your meditation, then that's the effort that you take, is
Mm.
to remove unwholesome thoughts and place it with wholesome thoughts. And when do you do that? Every in breath, every out breath. And how do you know that? Because I'm remembering every in breath and every out breath. Why? Because it's a long in breath and a long out breath.
Yes.
And that's Anapanasati. And in that regard, one more thing, and that is that we really do start to feel good. We actually do talk ourselves into feeling comfortable, secure,
Mm.
safe, satisfied. And those are feelings, as opposed to the feelings that we're not going to be having are anger, frustration, anxiety,
Mm.
tension, worry, boredom, grief, sadness. There's a list, but it's a short list. Only
Mm.
about 10,
Only about 10. Yeah, yeah, quite short. Yeah.
which means we don't have to keep track of very many cows.
That's a very good point. I'm not keeping track of a whole herd of 50 or 60 cows or something.
Right.
There's only a few cows. That
Yeah, only a
makes it
few.
seem a lot more manageable. A lot more
Yes.
manageable.
And you actually only need to look at one at a time just to watch this thought, just one thought.
Yeah, it's a very good way to look at it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Thank you, Buddha.
That's why everything happens just right now.
Mm,
Everything is in the present moment.
mm.
What are my thoughts right now?
That's all that matters because
That's
you are
because
not
that
in the past, you are not in the
I'm
future,
not in
you
the
are
future.
now in the
That's
present.
right.
So
All right.
the only thing that matters is right now.
Right now. That's the only thing that does matter is
Mm.
right now.
Yeah.
That's excellent. That's hard for a lot of people to see.
Mm. Mm.
They always come back with, if I stop looking for the future, some shit's going to happen. The answer to that, something shit's going to happen whether you're watching or not.
Exactly. It's in the future. You can't dictate, you can't control what goes on there. So if some shit's gonna go down, then it's gonna go down. If some shit's not gonna go down, then it's not gonna go down. That's just how it
and the
be.
only, and the question is, am I ready for it?
Mm.
Am I going to be a victim to it, or am I going to be on top of the situation? Hey, I'm the emperor of this pile of dirt.
Mm.
Everybody's an emperor of their own pile of dirt. The question is, are they buried under it, or are they sitting on top of the world?
Mm. That is a good question, yeah. You sitting on top of your dirt, or are you letting it crush you?
Exactly. Which, and when we think of the dirt, that means the unwholesome thoughts.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Mhm.
Mm. Long in breath, long out breath. All day,
Uh,
every day.
no, just this one.
Yeah, you caught me. You caught me. Mm.
Because we're building up the confidence that I can handle the next one too. Right
Mm.
now, let's practice doing really good job on this one. Let's develop that skill right now.
Mm.
The
Yeah, yeah,
future
yeah.
will take care of itself.
Yes. Yes, yes, yes.
All I have to do is just stop mecking with it.
Exactly, yeah. You can't control whatever's going to happen. It will happen, and that is that.
So, are we ready for that?
Mm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Ready for it. Ready for anything.
Yes, ready for anything. Oh, very nice. Lovely
Yeah,
breath.
excellent. Well,
Mm.
Ben, this has been a really delightful conversation. I think that we've covered every little thing that we need to cover for right now.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
So
yeah, definitely.
you go practice what we've been talking about. I would recommend that you would do it 3, 4, 5 times a day for shorter
Hmm.
periods of time, that you don't need to sit for so long that your
45
mind
minutes.
gets dull. But
Mm.
15 minutes at a set,
Okay.
that would be fine.
Okay then. Yeah, yeah. I mean,
Keep the mind sharp.
yes, yes,
Come
yes.
out of your meditation like you just ate a lion.
Yeah, yeah, with the 45 minutes that I've been doing, it does sort of hit a period of time, and my mind is just uh trying to
Right.
force it to do something that it's
That's
not.
actually a hindrance, isn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's
Like what you
called.
said, diminishing returns, or
And exactly.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, no, this conversation has been brilliant. I have really, really enjoyed talking to you today. So thank you very,
Uh,
very much.
okay, when are you going to call back?
I don't know, when would you like me to call back?
That's up to you, but many will go from twice a week to once a week, something in that neighborhood.
Probably once a week, I would
All
say.
right.
Once a week
Okay.
would probably be good. Yeah, yeah. That's what I'll say. That's what I'll say. Once a week. That sounds
All
good.
right. Excellent. Well, we'll see you next week.
Yes, yes. See you next week. I hope you have a lovely week, and yeah, I will
The
speak to you
week's
again
going to be
soon.
just a week. All the lovely comes from within.
Very true. Very, very true. You caught me again. Yeah.
Well, that's the job, is to listen, to be here now with what's being said.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, well then you have a week and I will speak to you at the end of it.
Only a little bit at a time.
Yes, yes, exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
I
So
want to
I'll
have
speak.
too much week in one day.
Yeah, so thank you very much for today and I will
This
speak
has
to you
been
again
delightful, Ben.
soon. Yeah.
Thank you for laughing at my jokes.
No, no, genuine laughter, genuine laughter. It's been a delightful conversation. Thank you very much.
Excellent. Good to
All
see
right. Speak to you soon.
you. Mm.